whatever their age is. The message I'd like to get across is part of getting your money in balance to where it's not a cause of anxiety, but a cause of pleasure and contentment, is accepting you are where you are. You know, you cannot change the past. Nobody is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I've made some doozies. Other people have as well. Just accepting where you are and letting go of the blame, the shame, the expectations of yourself. You know what? We're all in the same boat. Nobody is born knowing how to do this. People make mistakes, and sometimes the consequences seem way out of proportion to the crime. That was, just as an aside, that was what was going on with the banks that really ticked me off. My mother taught me to dislike bullies. And that's kind of what our banks turned into, was bullies. Because people were doing things like, okay, they would use their debit card somewhere, they wouldn't have quite enough. They would expect the transaction to be declined, but unknown to them, their bank had signed them up for bounce protection. So the transaction would go through and they'd face a $30 fee. Well, the bank's costs were nowhere near $30. They were nowhere near $20. You know, it's a couple bucks is the most it costs them to do that temporary loan to you. But they were making a lot of money with those fees. And, you know, I get upset when I see penalties out of proportion to the crime committed or the lapse. Yes, we should keep track of our bank balance. Yes, we should know what's in there, absolutely. But I travel a lot, and I bounce transactions at least twice a year. But I have a true line of credit because I know how to set one up and make sure that it's cheap and make sure that it's there for me. The people that were getting clobbered with bounce protection were the elderly and the poor. And that riles me. So anyway, that has changed. There's been some changes in regulations. Banks can't do it anymore. They were trying to get you to sign up. I don't know if you remember that. They were just so eager for you to sign up for bounce protection. And most of you, very smart, said, no way. I don't want that. I never did. Okay. A little rant aside. We'll move on. The final part is acting. Okay, what do you do? Now you've accepted. You're all zen. Everything is great. Find out where you actually are. Okay? This is a little thing. If you had a financial planner, they would sit you down. If you had a good financial planner, excuse me, they would sit you down and see where you were. One of the things I like to do with people is suggest that they go to the Social Security site, because within that online monolith is your work record. And you can see every dollar that you earned, that your employer reported to Social Security throughout your life. And it's a trip. You know, you can see that first job that maybe you made 500 bucks on or whatever, you know, for a summer job, all the way to whatever you were earning last year. And what you can do is add up that money to see how much money has come into your life. You can throw in anything else, any other big inflows, any big windfalls that you got. You know, if you got a gift from somebody, an inheritance, you know, you went to Vegas or Atlantic City and hit it big, put all that money in. And I think you may be a little bit impressed. Even if you don't make a lot of money, over time, it really adds up. Okay, so that, you can see how much money has come in. Now this may be a bit the depressing part, but look at what you own and what you owe. This is basically what's called a net worth statement. You do your assets, you do your liabilities, you see what's left, okay? This basically shows you where you are, how much money has come into your life, and what you've done with it. Okay, again, let's get back to Zen, acceptance, even if the number's not what you want. This is where you're starting from. I used to say this till the end of the presentation, and I realized there are a lot of people who don't really know how bad off they are. And it was part of my bankruptcy research that kind of brought this home to me, that people who are in situations that anybody who's objective, who's standing outside and looking at this would go, this situation is hopeless. They wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know that they were fighting a beast they can't win. So I want to do it now. And if you have consumer debt, which means credit card debt and medical bills, that are half or more of your current income, not what you used to earn, not what you hope to earn, what you're earning now. If you have minimum debts that you can't pay, the minimums on your credit cards, the minimums on any loan, you're struggling to pay those, if anyone has sued you over a debt, this is becoming increasingly common, even little debts, what's happened is the lawyers have gotten in the mix and law firms are going after people for a couple $100 and suing you. That can lead to a whole level of hurt that you don't want to have in your life. So what I'm suggesting is if any of these things are true of you or anyone else, that you urge them to talk to a bankruptcy attorney. Now it's possible they'll be able to get their, pull their way out of it. And I used to say if your consumer debt was equal to your income, I waited until it rose to that level. But I realized by the time it's there, it really is too late. At this point, you still may have a shot for digging yourself out. And I'll have some resources at the end that can help you with this. But if any of these things are true, you really do need some professional help. And the good news is that bankruptcy attorneys tend to have discounted or even free first sessions. So you can go in and see, what your situation is. If this information is not relevant to you, please absorb it anyway, because I've been thinking about the fact that you are the teachers. You've been here, you're learning about money. You can access people I never will. I mean, if somebody's on the internet and they want to learn about money, they're going to come against me eventually. They're going to find my stuff. But a lot of people are so embarrassed about their situations, they're so ashamed that they don't even go that far. Not even in the privacy of the internet can they find an answer. So you may be the one to hook them up with the knowledge they need. So you're the teachers. That's what I'm hoping to create. Okay. One of the things I think can really help you get balance in your life is a balanced spending plan. And from dealing with reader questions for years, we used to get this issue of, okay, how much should I spend on X? How much should I spend on Y? And the answer is, it depends, which is extremely unsatisfying, and they didn't like it, and I didn't like it. Something else was going on is I was hearing from a lot of people who said, look, we have cut everything. We don't have cable anymore. We don't go out to eat. I haven't had new clothes in 2 years. We still can't make ends meet. We still can't save anything. We're not keeping up with our debt. What can we do? And I would look at that and be completely puzzled. And then they'd send me their numbers. And inevitably, it would be one of two things. Their shelter, house, mortgage, whatever, payment was too high. Or their car payment, their transportation bill was too high. And often it was both of them. So that started me thinking, okay, how do we rectify the situation? It ain't easy. When you've spent too much on a house or rent, having to move, short sales, foreclosures, whatever, even getting out of a car loan is tough. But the reality is, if you've got those two things totaling, more than half your budget, there really is no way to get a budget that's in balance. It's just impossible. So this 50-30-20 budget actually was created by Elizabeth Warren, who's the woman who set up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. She's now running for the Senate. I like it apolitically. I don't, she came up with it many years before she got into politics. And what it basically says is that no more than 50% of your after-tax income should be spent on your must-haves. And your must-haves are things like shelter, transportation, utilities, anything that there would be a serious consequence if you put it off. Transportation, minimum loan payments, child support. If you're facing serious problems, if you don't pay, if you put it off for a while. Buying clothes, sometimes it's a heartache not to be able to buy those shoes, but it's not a must-have. You can wait, okay? Vacation, same thing. Eating out. Anything you can put off is not a must-have. But something that you are contracted to pay, or that you need to pay to keep the lights on and your family fed, that's a must-have. You'll notice I say it's after-tax income that we're looking for, and that's a hard figure for a lot of people to figure out, because if you're getting paid, probably more things than just taxes are coming out of your paycheck. So I'm just talking about the withheld income taxes and what's called the payroll taxes, the money of yours that's going into Social